Ladies and gentlemen, for one of the best sports podcasts in the business, subscribe on YouTube to Shakey's Sports Journeys.
Hi everybody and welcome to Shakey's Sports Journeys. Another Scottish cricket edition coming to you here today with plenty of faces on screen. So what I've brought together today is 4 Scottish wicketkeepers, 3 of the past, 1 current wicketkeeper. I welcome today David Haggo, Alec Davies, Colin Smith and Matthew Cross. How are you, gentlemen?
Fine. Thank you, Quizzy.
Excellent.
Crossy, you not had a chance to visit the hairdressers yet, pal?
I haven't, no. It wasn't top of my list this week. We're back in training this week, so it's on my to-do list next week.
Okay, good lad. Okay, so what else has been happening, chaps? You're all looking fit and well. Mr. Haggs, how's things with you? You enjoy a couple of Scottish football results recently? I know you're a keen follower.
My team's not been doing too well this year, Kaz, so looking forward to the cricket season. The things that our local club we're starting to get back on track. The real boost with a couple of new members round about the place, really pushing it. So with the season now 4 weeks away, looking forward to that. Start seeing some cricket.
Great club. You have done very well over the last couple of years. So, well, obviously last year was a bit of a write-off, but prior to that, I've been holding the fort pretty well at the top of the Premier Division. So long may it continue there. What about yourself, Alec? Okay. PE teacher. I
was, Quizzy. I took early retirement last year, believe it or not.
Nice. All right for some.
Yeah. Well, it's mainly because my wife, she's quite ill, to be fair.
Okay.
So I just, obviously had to put the family first. So, and I'm looking after her and my son and my mother-in-law as well. So, been busy.
You're still very busy then.
Yeah, I've taken up photography. I did an HNC in photography at college. So, I'm sort of quite into that as well. So that keeps me occupied. But yeah, we're just sort of really just waiting for the shops opening and cricket starting and sport and, just moving on in your life, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's quite hard, isn't it? So, yeah.
Mr. Smith, how are you, mate? You've got your hands full these days.
Yeah, full-time work, I suppose, and then the business as well, which is manic at the moment. So I can't really reveal how many hours a week I'm doing because I'm actually only supposed to do 6 hours extra. So that's what the police allow me to do, which is laughable, really. But no, I only do 6 hours a week. Okay.
I know. I believe you.
So yeah, it's pretty full on at the moment, as you can imagine, pre-season, and then during the season, it's nuts. So.
Are you still in partnership with Mr. McRae? Yeah.
We are, but he's fairly ensconced in Jersey, so he's not very hands-on, as you could imagine. So it rests all on me, really.
Okay.
Yeah, I get the odd phone call from him. See, why you
check on the numbers? To check on the numbers, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Typical Macca. Gentlemen, my first question to you all today is, why the hell would you want to be wicketkeepers? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, bending down all day, potential broken fingers, potential strikes to the face, especially standing up. Why would you want to do it? I'll come to you first, Haggs.
I was actually originally an all-rounder when I was younger. I used to do a bit of bowling as well as a bit of batting. I don't know how I get pitched into wicketkeeping, but see, once you get into it, it's the fact that you're in the game, in the game all the time. Yeah. That's it, really. I used to watch people, you talk about, the problems you have with broken fingers and this, that, and next thing. I looked around the field and couldn't believe how bored people must have been standing about in certain positions and this, that, and next thing. Whereas as a keeper, concentration had to be high. So, no, definitely the fact you're in the game, that's the most important thing for me.
What about yourself, Crossy?
For me, I went to my first Scotland under-12 trial and they sort of looked around the group and said, who's a keeper? And pretty much no one put their hands up. So I just stuck my hand up. I'd never done it. No experience, nothing. But I just, I went for it. And at that age, it was just catching balls and it was easy. So it almost got me in the team. So, it just went from there. Next year, I was playing Scotland under-12s and keeping and opening the batting.
Never ever looked back since then, really, have you?
No, really. Like I was saying, you're in the game all the time and to be honest, you don't off the ball, which is a bonus.
Mr. Davies, why wicket keeping?
I was I discovered I could catch a ball. Basically, I could catch a ball. Like Matthew by the sound of it. And then I really wanted to know what bowlers were doing. All the time. I really had a curiosity about people spinning, swinging. What was the ball doing? And that I felt that could help my batting as well. If you're watching bowlers and trying to work them out, and it just sort of helped me really. But as Hag said, you're in the game all the time. You're in it all the time, every ball, and they rely on you. You're really the heartbeat a lot of the time. You're the heartbeat of the team. If you're down, then the team can go down. So it's quite full on, as Hag said, and your concentration. It has to be. You just get that little half chance that could be the defining moment in the game. And if you do it, great. If you don't, then oh my goodness, you've got the gloves. You get pelters. So, but that's the reason why really. I tried bowling, but it wasn't. I was a net bowler, as they say, a net bowler, and you had to run as well. To run in, and I thought, nah,
That wasn't for you.
This is not for me. Nah, I'll break my back. So I just thought, catch a ball. So that was it, really. So quite simple. Really.
Floppy, you're not suited for wicket keeping. You're about 7 feet tall, man. You should have been a fast bowler.
Exactly. It wasn't my decision. I was an all-rounder, and I had no ambition to be a wicketkeeper. And then I was at school. I was in the school team in 3rd year, and then in 4th year, the cricket master said, Floppy, because everyone called me Floppy, even the teachers, your fielding is awful. And I mean, and our wicketkeeper was awful. A poor guy. I still remember his name. He was a couple of years older. He was in 6th year, but he was terrible. He was they called him speed bump because he wouldn't stop the ball, but he would kind of slow it down. So they wanted to get rid of him, and thought, well, you're not the greatest fielder, Floppy, so you take the gloves. And that is honestly how it started. And I took them, and I loved it. And I was actually quite good at it. I enjoyed, standing up. I could do that straight away. It didn't fear me like, it feared a lot of people. And I was able to catch the ball. And fundamentally, that's all you have to do. As long as no matter what you look like, I'm tall, gangly, and probably not the prettiest, but, if you catch the ball, then that's all you ever have to do. So that's how it started. And
Interesting. None of you ever really actually set out to be wicketkeepers. It all kind of just, you tried a few other things, or you just stumbled across it, or you got told to do it, and the rest was kind of the rest was history. So interesting to hear that.
Once you've done it and loved it, absolutely, like everyone else has said, you're in the game the whole time. Plus in Scotland, your hands are freezing, but three lots of inners and massive gauntlets, so
that's the positive. I mean, if I was going to say any positive that I missed out on and standing on some cold days, is that you guys have got the inners and the gloves on, and the rest of us are walking about and not kind of feel our hands. So that's a plus point. But at the same time, a ball hits the fingers in the wrong way or something, you still know about it more than the rest. I mean, I've seen you in the changing room many times, Floppy. Out of all of you, I've played with you most. And it just didn't look like fun some days. I mean, you just looked in pain.
I never actually broke my finger, any of my fingers keeping. I got some on the end of the thumb or on the end of the fingers, but never actually broke them. And I think it was more to do with the way I taped them, and I was very particular about protecting the joints. And maybe I was just lucky because I certainly copped a few in the face.
What about the rest? All had fingers broken? Surely.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, put my hand up. Yeah, a couple of times. Just pull them out. I pulled.
Rossi, how many times are we talking?
I can't be sure, but I've broken both my thumbs and I've got a few squint fingers. So and they sort of been like after we played a little bit, they sort of said, yeah, it's definitely broken, but you know,
Yeah, see, that's the.
you sometimes don't know, and you don't want to know if it's broken or not. You grit your teeth a bit.
The thing is, as well, if you break your finger and you admit to it, then that could be you out. You know, if you're in this, you know, there's only one position, so you know, somebody jumps into your bed and does a good job, you're out potentially. So
Yeah,
That's true.
feel no pain, no gain.
Hags, I never got the pleasure to play against you or see you in action. But obviously you come from the same part of Scotland as me, the West. So, and everybody I've ever spoken to says to me that you were just top glove man, like so good, nice to watch as well. What were the things? What were you good at? You know, what was your really strong point with your keeping?
I'll say first of all that I definitely have played against you because I caught you the last time I played against
Did you?
you.
He's got
Is that when you? Is that must have been when we got rolled for about 50, 60 by you boys down there.
Big Scott Weir was captain your side.
That's right. That's right.
I think you never got off easy.
I'm glad you refreshed my memory there, and that you caught me. Cheers for that, Hags.
I think probably in my era, I was playing probably before Matthew was born, and not a lot of folk in these days stood up to the ball, and a lot of people tended to stand back. I think probably the pioneers in Scotland were the likes of Alec Steele stood up a lot. And certainly when I get into it, I preferred standing up way to stand. I was pretty poor standing back because I was quite lazy, and then my footwork was poor. So whenever I got the chance, I would be, for a couple of overs after the shine was off the ball, was get up there, you know. So that's where I loved it up there. As well, and if you think of it from a batsman's, I always thought from a batsman's perspective, what does he want? The guy wants to have the freedom to move about that crease and in and out the crease as much as he wants. And as soon as you stand up, you take that away from him. And that's massive from a batsman's point of view when he's restricted. Remember playing against David Smith. David Smith, you'll remember him, Alec. Played for
The left-hander. Is it left-hander? Yeah, that's big fella, wasn't he? He played for England.
Quite an arrogant man.
Yeah, he was. He played for Surrey, actually.
Yeah, he did.
He did play for Surrey. Yeah.
He was standing up to him, to one of our opening bowlers down at a Hove, and he turned around to you to stand the F back. You know, get out of my space and all this next thing. That just shows you they're getting into the batsman's mind.
Yeah, that's true.
No, yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it on a Saturday if within 10 overs the keeper decides he's going to come up to the stumps. It's not. It doesn't make me happy because, like you say, I need to go back into my crease. And there's not really many guys in Scotland that really are forcing you to stay in your crease. You can tend to stand out your crease quite comfortably, but when the keeper stands up, you take that option away. So it's and then you can't be lazy. You can't fall over or anything. So were you quite a handy stumper then? Were you good at? Was that what you were looking for? You like to try and stump people?
Yeah, that was as I say, I was pretty poor standing back. So get up there quickly, just up to stumps as quick as possible. A quick story just on that, talking about. I stood up to Jerry Moyle one day down at Essex, and Graham Gooch was batting, and Gooch was batting a yard outside his crease.
I remember this story.
Yeah, and I stood up, and he looked round at me and just stayed where he was. And he was obviously saying, "Well, I'm not going to miss the ball anyway, so it doesn't really matter whether you stand up."
Did he not even? So he didn't go back. He just thought.
Oh no, he didn't go back. No. We got him out. We ran him out in the 30th over. He was in 129. So I don't know what he'd have scored that day.
Rossi, what is your you're quite handy standing. You're quite good standing back. You move quite well, I think.
Thanks, mate.
Oh, it's all those dance classes.
Oh yeah, he was doing one before he came on. He was. He said it was his girlfriend that was doing it. He said it was his girlfriend that was doing it, but I think he was doing it as well. Good for fitness, mate. Dancing, very good for fitness.
Yeah, I've not done any yet.
So, what in general though? What would you say your strengths are in your keeping?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think I had to work pretty hard at my keeping, especially when I first got into the Scotland side. I made a few mistakes, and I spent a lot of time with Toby Bailey working on a few things just to try and all round make yourself, not make mistakes. Really, I guess is the aim of the game at the end of the day, and it's part of the job is just to be clean. It's something Grant worked pushed me to be really good at was just being really tidy. So yeah, I guess in terms of the concentration element, that really tests you. And then also I think a big part of keeping is being in the game for the bowlers and stuff. You do have the best view, and I think in some ways you're a bit of a leader on the field in terms of seeing what the batsman basically sees. So I think that's, I see that as an important part of my role, to communicate with, Kyle and the bowlers, to try and help them, see what I would see if I'm basically stood next to them as a batter.
You've got a lot of pressure on you as well, though, mate. You're opening the batting as well in the one-day format, and you're keeping. That's a big ask.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Good, I like that.
And I did it through my junior career, so like I've always been at the top in the 50 over stuff. So I'm fit enough, I think, to do it. So why not?
No, good, fair enough. I wonder if you'll be saying that in 5 or 6 years' time, but for now, yeah, you're enjoying it. That's the main thing. Alec, what were you?
Hello.
I remember you in the '99 World Cup. That's when I first saw you, and you struck me as a very laid back guy, very relaxed.
I have been I've been criticised a bit by that, but it's a perception. I keep saying it's a perception, and I'm obviously trying really hard, but it's something that's followed me right through my junior career. When I was younger, coaches have got onto me and tried to shake me up a bit, but the psychologist saved me one day. The sports psychologist came in and said, yes, everyone's got their own arousal levels, and I've got mine. So I just said, leave me, just leave it. So it was, it was quite interesting. It was just that time where they were introducing these sort of specialists, fitness and sports psychologists, and it was just I know it was quite a change from the previous sort of the era, as it were, but still it needed more time, I think, when I was in contact with it, to really make a lot of benefit, these sort of things. But obviously the boys of today it's probably quite normal,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was I always think if the key words that came from the sports psychologist is always relaxed concentration. That's probably, you look at your best games or your best innings or your best, you're relaxed, but you're concentrating. You're not fired up and worked up and someone's wound you up. It was quite interesting. And you think about your own, best games that you had. You probably have been in the zone, as it were, concentrating, relaxed, and that's where some people try and obviously move you out of that. But it's, as you say, it's probably out of my depth now. But but I always thought the one, I know it's a bit offbeat here, but I always thought one guy was I really admired was a keeper was Keith Piper. I don't know, Hags may have known him.
Warwickshire.
He had lovely hands. He had beautiful hands, and he was so relaxed. The way he caught the ball and just caught it, and but he didn't play for England. I was really surprised about that. But he was one guy.
I think he was a bit naughty.
Is he?
I think,
more than me then.
I think he got up to no good a couple of times, and maybe that's why. No, I remember him. He was a very good. He played in that formidable Warwickshire team that won everything. We need to maybe ask Dougie Brown and then down low. What was the reason that he did?
I was at Warwickshire back in 2001, and I spent a bit of time with Keith. It was his testimonial year, actually.
All right.
And it was an absolute privilege, actually, to work with him and train with him, because as Alex said, I would absolutely concur. He was the best gloveman I've ever seen. The way he caught the ball was incredible. And it's probably only a keeper that would appreciate it, actually. But just to see the way he, honestly, it just bizarre. It just disappeared in his hands. There was no noise at all.
No, it was soft.
But he used to admire himself. It was, which used to amuse me. But I learned a lot just from a couple of sessions with him, and him and Mark Atkinson as well, who was at West for a while. But in terms of learning stuff, tiny fella, exactly.
Yeah, he was some keeper.
Yeah, he was. But Keith was astonishing.
Quite special.
But yeah, you're right. I think he got up to no good.
Yeah, I think he was a wee bit naughty. He's a
good lad though.
But great. Sounds like he was a great, fantastic keeper. Floppy, come with you next. what I remember most about you, you were good standing back, but you were very, very good standing up, which I find a bit surprising because of the size of you. Well, were you a bit similar to the rest of the guys? Did you like being up there in the action? You wore the face mask and everything. You were well protected.
No, I only did that in that 2009 World Cup.
That's
the,
right.
the only time I ever did that, and that was because I fractured my cheekbone about 6 weeks before.
Nice.
So before that, I never wore it because I find it distracting. So it'd be interesting how Crossy finds it, because I just could not wear it. You know, if the ball, especially with high balls, so if the ball goes up high, you know, how you can see the ball, I just gave up on that idea. And I was only hit in the face a couple of times, so I kind of, again, you know, until you get hit, you know, that's luck as well, because obviously some people have been hit in the face by Bales and, you know, have finished their careers.
Boucher obviously
lost their eyesight, you know, so that's pure luck probably that doesn't happen to more people. But when I started keeping and I started to get quite good, and everyone pointed out to my height and said that was a disadvantage. The disadvantage is that it's difficult to take low balls. So that was what I worked on. And my advantage of being tall is I could get the high balls and I could reach further. So there were advantages and there were disadvantages. So just like any part of the game, you work on your weaknesses, I suppose. So, you know, I worked on my strength in my legs, my flexibility. You know, I worked on that all the time so that, you know, staying down low was, you know, naturally difficult, but I, you know, got better at it, I suppose.
Not according to Gavin Hamilton. I don't know if you heard him on the podcast. He's like, Floppy, the stiffest man I've ever played cricket with. I don't know, he's a wicketkeeper.
That's interesting. I'm not sure he was talking about my flexibility, actually.
Okay, so
you and Gav go back a long way.
You do indeed. Crossy, you're the complete opposite.
Yes, we are.
Yes, man. You know, but you both come from the same club. Have you done a bit of work with each other? Did when you were coming through, was Floppy a mentor to you, or was he just not asked?
We didn't really cross paths a lot, did we?
No, that is absolutely right. I knew of Crossy, as you do, but I was away either playing for Scotland or I was, you know, in the police shift work. So I missed a lot of sessions.
Big fish, Floppy. No time for the young kids.
Yeah. It is a criticism that could be labelled up.
You won a Scottish Cup together. I've seen a picture.
Yeah.
2009. That's interesting, actually, because I think the year before, in the Crossy, you might be able to put me right here. Matthew was good enough, right, at that stage. I mean, he needed to work harder, obviously, and he'll probably admit to that himself. But at that stage, he was good enough to play first team cricket. But I was in his way, and I think he had the chance to move to Stonywood, and I spoke to his dad, and I said, "Don't do it. You know, make him earn his position at Aberdeenshire, right? Make him, if he goes to Stonywood, he'll, you know, immediately jump into the Wicketkeepers, but there'll be a lot of pressure on him, and make him earn it, okay?" And then in 2009, I got injured with that fractured cheekbone I was talking about, and then went to the World Cup. And Matthew took over and did a fantastic job. I remember, you know, he was scoring runs for fun as well, which at that age, he was only 17, I think, maybe he was 17 at the time.
Yeah.
And we went on and won the Scottish Cup and the league that year. And that had a lot to do with Crossy. And when I came back, I was quite happy just to, you've earned it, right? There you go, you have the gloves. I mean, I'd retired from Scotland by that stage as well after that World Cup, but that wasn't the point. He had earned it, and you hold on to it. And I don't know whether that had any effect. Maybe that gave him confidence. I don't know. It's quite interesting to ask him that question now.
To be honest, I didn't know any of that. Obviously, the Stonywood thing being in Aberdeen was always there, but it's almost like you just wouldn't do it. And I got lucky, and I felt lucky enough to be playing. So the year before that, I played a couple of games. I think we bowled out a Greenock team for about 30, and I got put into bat 3. I didn't get to bat, but it was like I got put in that team very young. And then we also had other guys. We had Neil McRae as well, who was in and around the Scotland stuff, and it was a really good team. And then obviously the next year to win both things was a big step up. And although I didn't really work with Floppy as such, I always got to see him keep for Aberdeen and play for Scotland when they played at Aberdeen. So I could see what I was aspiring to be, although we were obviously never going to be the same kind of wicketkeeper with slight height changes. I seen what the standard was at least, and that's all I really needed to help me progress to.
Did you not fancy taking up a similar batting style to Floppy?
Not something I didn't ever quite grasp. Again, he had different advantages to me, Long levers could send the ball miles. Not so much my game, but it was a very good club, Aberdeenshire, that time. It was it was a good place to be.
Absolutely.
I've got an interesting story about Crossy, right, from 2009, and so like I said, Crossy just got into the first team, right, and my wife had just opened her hair salon in 2009. And Crossy lives not that far away from it, so he'd come in to get his hair cut, which he obviously needs just now as well, actually. But he sat down, got his hair done by my wife, and announced to her, right, at 17, I'm going to play for Scotland. I'm going to play more times than your husband, and I'm going to break every record that he's got. And my wife came, I swear to God, and she came back and told me this story, and we had a giggle about it. But I took it completely seriously, and I had no doubts that was possible. You need to stay fit, but if you manage that, you'll have a great long career. But I didn't doubt he had the talent to do it, not at all.
Alec and Hags, you're about the same age, gentlemen. So there must have been a wee bit of competition at one point or another between the West and the East. Do you have any? Is that the case, Hags? Was Alec one of your rivals as a keeper?
Competent.
Alec probably came on slightly after me.
Yeah.
We never really. I don't think we really competed for the place in the Scotland side that often. I had the position and Alec got it, and I got it back for a couple of years at one stage, and then injured myself, and then that was me finished. So the West East thing was always interesting because we had a really good district set up at that stage.
We did, didn't we? It was quite. It was quite strong and competitive, wasn't it? It was and it sort of fell away after a while, didn't it? It sort of fell away, and then.
But the West, the West team, the West had two sides: Strathclyde East and Strathclyde West.
Oh, that's right.
And we used to play against some good cricket on Sundays at that time.
Good, wasn't it?
Which was also a good stepping stone up to the Scotland side.
Who did you play under, Hags, captaincy wise? The national team?
The Scotland team.
Yeah.
Scotland team, Richard Swan.
Okay.
Quite a lot of time. He was captain a lot of time. Bruce Russell captain for a time. So but mostly Richard Swan. Actually, Omar Henry took over. He captain at the same time. So it was a different game in these days.
Yeah,
he played 7 games a year at that time.
That's right.
Four Benson Hedges, a Nat West game, and then 2 first-class games against MCC in Ireland. So to get 100 caps, you had to play for 14 years or something like that. It was pretty hard. When you think the guys like the Bruce Patterson and Philby, got 100 odd jobs, Sam, etc., 100 odd caps, and that's absolutely amazing. And the guys nowadays can get, 20, 30 caps a year. So, that was a completely different game.
Not so much in the last year, but yeah, I think they would overall probably get. There's clearly the opportunities have become more and more. Definitely in Floppy's time, and more so in Crossy's time, I would think. Alec, you got to obviously experience the '99 World Cup.
I did.
Away for
quite lucky.
Lots of cricketers, all of us sitting here, myself, Floppy, and Crossy. I'm sure we're all inspired. Well, actually, I don't know about Crossy. Might still have been in his nappies at that point. But talk to me about that experience, going to keep the
it was
best players in the world.
It was a bit of a, well, the whole thing was a bit of a shock because we qualified in Malaysia, in '97, which were the sort of dark horses, and we managed to get through against Ireland actually in a playoff, and it rained a lot and all the rest of it. So it was a bit of a sort of, it's quite an interesting discussion after the game, in the bar. What have we done? So curtly, sort of, be these guys opening the bowling, and who wants to bat this lot? But it some guys I think possibly fell away a little bit, and said that, maybe a step too far. But I was 37, so I just felt that, and Ian Bevan, Hags will know, he's got a pretty good cricket brain and a very good bowler, and he said, why don't you just give it your best shot, stay reasonably fit, you don't drink too much, you don't smoke. He said, go for it. And I had a couple of injuries on the way. We went to the Kuala Lumpur Commonwealth Games, which was a tester, because obviously that put you against likes of New Zealand and all the top countries. So you sort of had a feel whether you're maybe good enough. How are you going to cope with this? For the World Cup. And I did okay, but the batting was pretty difficult, obviously with the wickets and everything. Everyone struggled. But that's when we met Shoaib Akhtar, playing, and Bruce Patterson will tell you all about that. And we were side on and we couldn't see the ball. Me and Stuart Kennedy were trying to watch and said, do you see it? Do you see it? I said, no, I can't. I can see the guy playing a shot, but I can't see the ball. And we were pushing ourselves down the order, saying, a bit stiff, all this. And then it rained, and we were getting questioned by people, back in the village, saying, did you win? Well, we got a draw. We got a point, yeah. It's so cool. And then, the nightmare started after that. But yeah, the World Cup was, it's extraordinary experience. It was over here, so the wickets were a bit greeny, and seamy, and it was, and we did okay, but the big match was obviously Bangladesh.
Should have won that.
That was our World Cup.
Yeah, well, we had them in trouble,
and we had I won't say, well, I know Hags will probably know, someone dropped a catch in slips, and it was a crucial moment, and he went on to score a few runs, and I also felt that we could have, if I hadn't got, Gavin, if he hadn't got run out, how it touched the guy's hand.
Yeah.
To this day, I felt if I had gone out and he'd stay there, we could have won it. But he was in such form. He was on 60, and I was on about 20. But he was the man who was really. I think he was the biggest run getter at that World Cup. In the UK for a British player, and that's how he got into the Test. Obviously the Test arena, but that was pretty hard to take. And then obviously you had to, the games after that, which New Zealand, they were gunning for us because they had to get the run rate, to get into the top 6, and the West Indies as well down in Leicester. It was a beautiful day, and I thought we'll just have I want to see Lara Black, and we won the toss and decided to bat. So. And I was 5 down for nothing, and I was in. So. But
you came out the tournament with a 20 average though with the bat, Alec.
I did. I had one not out. Only one not out. Only one.
You were still in quite a lot of low scoring scores that Scotland got in that World Cup. Come out with a 20 average was good going.
I think you needed, well, not me. I think you needed a bit of technique, and you were 5 down for nothing, and you needed some set against a moving ball. And I could take my time a bit as well. The ball was a little bit older as well. I could take my time and get the singles, and and just sort of dibs and dabs, all the rest of it. But it was quite challenging. But I must admit, the best one-day bowler I thought, was Chris Cairns. When I faced him, I thought every ball was different. Every ball, it was really interesting. And the guy Harris as well, the New Zealander, he was impossible. He was just swung it in and just. Oh.
You watch him, and you would just think he should get slaughtered.
He should.
Nobody could. No one ever got the better of him.
Not really, no. And
like Mark Gilchrist from
Gilchrist, yeah,
that's right. Yeah. It was like him. That's right.
Nobody ever really ever got after Gilchrist.
No. And I suppose the biggest moment, in a funny sort of way, you mentioned, I played against Pakistan, which is where I was born. And it was a bit of an odd one because my dad was working out there on a dam. He was a civil engineer, a 5-year contract. So instead of coming back to the UK, we decided I was born there. So, but it has caused 1 or 2 problems at airports. It has caused, I've been taken away for questioning, and police have stopped me in this, just stopped me randomly. Just, where were you born? Pakistan. Don't lie. We can charge you. I'm like, why would I want to lie about my team? And they come back and they go, where? Why? It's like, yeah. So it's funny. So, but I had to get permission from the Pakistan Cricket Association to play for Scotland in that World Cup.
Oh,
Jim
really?
didn't realise I was born in Pakistan, so they had first choice, and I thought, my dad said this won't take long. It'll take a couple of minutes, and sure enough, the facts came back in those days. No, we don't need him. It's all right.
We don't need them. They had Moin Khan and Rashid Latif.
That's right, yeah.
At that point. I would have liked to see your name in the mix as well, though, Alec.
No,
Max, I wanted to ask you, what was your highlight of playing for Scotland? What was the one day that you experienced playing for Scotland?
It's hard to say. It is hard, like everyone. It's probably hard to say. I think probably your first cap, and that was, I know it was like Haggs was saying, the MCC. I think it was in '93. That's a big moment. The World Cup, the first game against Australia, that was a big one. And I think the other one was actually against Worcestershire when we beat them in '98. And as Haggs said, we only had 4 games. Like we had 3 B&H games, and we were getting better and better. And then you had the Nat West against Worcestershire, which had Hick. They had 10 guys who played international cricket, and only 1 hadn't. And that's when Wrighty got 5 for, I think, 20 of 10 or 12 or something, in those days. And we won by 5 runs, and Bruce Patterson got runs, and we scored about 240, which was a decent score, those days.
Mm-hmm.
And we won after the last over. Greg Williamson bowled his induckers, and he got a clean bowled, and I think that was one of the biggest ones. Yeah, against a county side. Maybe Haggs. These guys are quite full of themselves. They love them.
Coming to you, Haggs, what would you say? What would you say is the highlight you've had?
Probably the '89 game against Australia at Hamilton Crescent.
Talk to me about the day. What was the situation in the game?
Well, there was 5,500 at the game, which in a game in Scotland at that time was just completely unheard of. There was no stands or anything, so people were just standing about the places, as Hamilton Crescent is at this time. Mm-hmm. But they had a really strong team. They had some real players. And
who are we talking?
Oh, they had Border, Dean Jones, David Boone, Steve Waugh, Mark Taylor was 12th man. Murphy's opened the bowling, Carl Rackerman, Tim May, blah, blah, yeah. No, they had a team of guns, and they get 340 or something like that, which is pretty unheard of in these days. Nowadays, Cross's era, that's standard, but in the 50 over game at that stage, that was unheard of. And out of that 340, Jerry Moyer bowled 10 overs, 5 for 36 or something. Oof. In amongst that 340 odd. So that was a great experience to play against them. Bod and Philby opened the batting that day and put on 110 for the first wicket. And they were taking it real serious until they got them out. Yeah, that was good. Played at Lords a couple of times, which is pretty special in its own right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Do that. Yeah.
You've got a keeper that I'm a good pals with. Have you done much work with him, Fraser McDonald?
I did a bit with him over the last few years. Yeah, he kind of gave up keeping for a while. We tried to become a bowler.
He's a grumpy git. He's up and down. He's got natural ability. He's a good keeper, but he's loving it one minute and then he's no loving it the next.
I did a bit with him a couple of years ago. He asked me to come down and just work with him. And no, he's good. He's a good guy. He's a decent club player.
Very good, very good. I love it. I like him a lot. I like his batting. I like his keeping. But I just was interested to know if you've had a bit of input with them. So good to hear you have. Crossy and Floppy. Floppy, I think I already know what your highlight of your career will be, but so I'll come to you last. But Crossy, what would be the highlight? Actually, I think I know yours as well, unless you surprise me. For playing for Scotland.
Yeah, I would have said the 2015 World Cup, but looking back, we missed opportunities there, and I think ultimately it's about winning. And I think since then, beating Sri Lanka was a big one, and then kind of eclipsed it by, beating England at home, which was, I think it's more just about we beat them when they played really, really well. It wasn't like they turned up and were rubbish. It was a complete package day.
They're going to be gunning for you. You do know that, don't you? When the opportunity comes for another Scotland-England fixture, you boys better be ready, because I think they will be coming very hard at you boys.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, but we'd love to play them again. It's the kind of opportunity you don't get very often, and I think anytime we get to play a full member, let alone England, is pretty special. So whoever wants to play us is more than welcome to.
I'd love to see England invite us down for a three ODI series. Why not? We just beat you. Invite us down and give us a hammering if you can. That would be good. We've just seen the Irish play them in a series. It turned out 1 each. So that would be something. Floppy, what about yourself? I think I know what your highlight is, but you might surprise me.
Go on then, you tell me what you think it is.
It's got to be a 50 against Australia, the 2007 World Cup. Got to be.
You're wrong, but that a lot of people say that, and it was looking back, it was nice to do it, but we got gubbed, and we were 5 down, chasing 360, and I said I'm just going to enjoy myself here. So I set out just to bat as long as I could. I had no intention of trying to win the game. We weren't going to win the game, and so from that point of view, there's no highlight there other than experiencing the crowd, the atmosphere, and scoring some runs against a good side. But so that, as Crossy said, what's important is winning, and it's not necessarily. And obviously, a highlight will be when you do well and the team wins, but it doesn't have to be, and I guess that's the beauty of cricket. So the highlight was definitely that first month, actually the whole first season 2003, when we were in that 40, basically what the old Sunday League.
Yeah, 40 over county.
Because the Cricket Scotland took a massive risk financially to put us into that league, and they didn't think it would pay off. And there was even plans for us just to play half the games, and we're like, why would you want to do that? We're in it to, compete. And, it was that start of that era, the Juddy era, where we're not here just to make up the numbers. We're here to win. And so to go into that, having everyone doubting us, even the part of the organization were thinking we're not good enough and we're going to lose every game and we're going to look like idiots. So to go in to that game, first game against Durham, and we'd no pre-season either. So this was early in the season, so maybe early May, maybe, and we'd had maybe 1 or 2 games, so totally out of touch. And we went down to Chesterless Street, and we won. And honestly, the feeling was unbelievable. I can't quite. I was lucky enough to score the winning runs, but I swear to God, it was tough because it was seaming about all over the place, and I totally out of touch. But Neil McRae was at the other end, which was another sweet point because it was me and him at the end. But he got me through. Actually, he was always mentally very strong, and he got me through because I was struggling. They had a great seam attack, that Durham team. But anyway, and then Ryan scored that 100 against Somerset up at Edinburgh. So that was our first sort of win at home, I suppose. And that, to score that 100 in 40 balls to beat a very strong Somerset side, it was just unbelievable. And then the next week we went down to Lancashire and we beat them. So
and it's interesting what Juddy said on the podcast. He said you won the first 3 games without Rahul Dravid, and then when Dravid arrived, even though Dravid was brilliant for Scotland, he didn't win another game.
I can't quite put my finger on that, to be honest. Whether the other teams stepped up their game a little bit because Dravs was there, I'm not sure. I felt bad for Dravs actually because he scored 300s, and all 3 of those games we probably should have won. And it was actually a game he didn't get 100 after that. I think John Kent scored runs against Sussex later on in the season. But I can't quite put my finger on it. But that first month was brilliant, I have to say.
Good to hear from all of you, gents. I'm going to finish with a couple of quick fire questions. Really nice to hear a bit of an insight into all of your journeys and your keeping careers and your highlights. Who is your favourite wicketkeeper of all time? We'll start at the top. Hags, who's your favourite wicketkeeper of all time?
Jack Russell.
Jack Russell.
Yeah.
Good. Alec Davies, who's your?
I was thinking about him actually. It's Alan Knott for me. So
Rossi.
I feel bad now because I was going to say Sangakkara, but it was more because he was quite a good batter. And he was my one growing up watching him. I could love watching him bat, and he also kept. So it's not a great answer, but it's the one that sprung in.
If that's your answer, mate. If that was your inspiration with the gloves, then
Did I say Colin Smith?
Yes, you may.
You can do that. Floppy, who was your favourite keeper?
Well, I've already mentioned Pipes, and he to watch, he was an artist, so I would have to go with him. Though, not many people would have seen him.
no, it's true.
No, I did see him, and I can see why you guys have echoed that, because he was a really natural gloveman. Going to go right round the house again. Who's the current wicketkeeper? I know I've got a wicketkeeper in my mind just now that I think is the best in the world. I'll keep it to me just now. Let me hear what your thoughts are. Who's the man right now, Hags?
I quite like Butler as a keeper. I think he's got a real good attitude up there at the moment. As far I don't think there's any real top class keepers about.
No,
Absolute top class.
That's a fair point. Talking about you as well, Crossy.
Oh yes, apart from that. I'd probably go for Butler.
We'll hold it against you.
Butler, yeah, he's a handy, very handy gloveman. Alec, who's your current keeper?
I'm struggling actually. I'm struggling.
I think it's interesting now because keeping has become a dying art, really, and so the predominant part is having the best batsman and making him into a gloveman. And Butler and Bairstow are perfectly competent, but they're not artists. And it's quite interesting that when they went to India, England picked Folkes, and everyone said he's an absolute genius. And it's such a shame that somebody and everyone appreciates him when he's there, he's playing, and they watch him keep, and they go, oh "My God, he's different class." And
his batting doesn't live up to.
Well, I don't particularly agree. He's obviously not as good as Butler or Bairstow, but perfectly good enough. If he was given that opportunity, I'm quite sure. But Butler's a genius. So
guy to watch out for just now, gents, and it's good. Obviously, I've got affiliation with Pakistan cricket as well. Mohammad Rizwan, fantastic wicketkeeper. T20, one day, and Test cricket. I think that was a tough question for all of you to answer just now, because it's not like it once was. We had Gilchrist, Healy, Alex Stewart, lots of good keepers going around different countries. There's not the specialists anymore. They kind of bring in more of a batter stroke keeper. But this guy, keep an eye on him. He's a proper glove man. It's
interesting you mentioned Gilchrist, because when he started, he got a lot of criticism as not being the best gloveman in that. Certainly because he came over to WA when I was over there, and he got slated by WA crowds because they reckoned Tim Zura was the best thing since sliced bread, and he had to work on his keeping because and again it was because of his batting that he got. It was almost that start of that process, but he worked on his keeping and he became a exceptional as well. But yeah.
So who would, just interested to know, Kaz, who Matthew would say, since he's involved in the current setup. Who does Matthew think the
when you ask the question, if it's keeping alone, it's Folkes. I don't see anyone who's anywhere near as good as he is. And then as the all-round package, Butler's obviously up there. I'm a big fan of de Kock as well. And that's going to sound awful on the playback, but I love watching him bat as well. I think the way he goes about it, it's just he's a decent keeper, but.
I knew you were talking.
That's gold. That is gold, Crossy.
I think I've just found my clip for what this one. Crossy, you mentioned Quinton.
That way to put it.
You mentioned Sangakkara. You mentioned these. What do you think? Are these kind of guys the ones that you put your benchmark up against? Do you strive to be getting up to that standard?
Yeah, I think so. I think with the wicket keeping, I think there's no reason you can't try and make yourself the best in the world, and I think that's just hard work. Obviously, batting's slightly different. Not everyone bats in the same spots, and there's different roles in every team. So I'm just trying to do the best I can do for Scotland, whatever that looks like in T20 I'm on there. So I try and push myself to be the best keeper I can be. I don't really model myself on anyone anymore. I think it's just, as Floppy says, it's catching a ball, and try and do that as well as I can, and then batting whatever the team's looking for from me. If I can deliver that, then it's a bonus.
Brilliant. Last question, gentlemen. Advice for any young aspiring wicket keepers out there. So we'll start with you, Hags. What would be your key advice?
Stay down and watch the ball. That's what I used to tell myself when I was standing up all the time. I just had to keep talking to myself. Just stay down as long as you can and watch the ball. And I carry that through when I'm talking to any keepers nowadays, because I don't think really that's never really changed that much.
I agree.
You still have to do that. As Floppy says, you need to catch it, so you need to give yourself the best opportunity to do that. And your best opportunity to do that is by staying down as long as you can and watching the ball.
Yep. Alec?
Yeah, same as Hags, really. Just, wanting the ball, want the ball. You have to want the ball. If you don't want the ball, then, that's where the mistakes come, It's probably like batting as well, hitting the ball. You want to hit it. But I would say, I always try to keep my hands together. That was the other thing. Keep my hands together, rather than, sort of apart. Try and keep it together. Even if it's having a bad time, standing at all, keep your hands together. Keep your technique. Think about your technique a lot. And because you need technique under pressure. If you've got good technique, you really need it under pressure. So that's why I used to think, just rehearse things, all the time. But everyone's got their own, choice or whatever. But you have to want the ball. Yeah, if you don't want it, then that's where that's where the problems come. But
clutch at the ball or something. If you don't want it, then you might just snap at it. Floppy?
Well, you've got to enjoy it fundamentally, and I guess that runs into wanting the ball, because if you're enjoying it, you want to catch it, and train hard. Enjoy training as much as you enjoy playing the game. And if you catch 100 balls in practice, then in a game you're not going to worry about catching the ball in a game under pressure, as X says.
And last, the current keeper. My first advice was at the start of the show, and I'm going to finish with it: to visit the hairdressers. It's something you need to be doing soon, because it's just you've got a young boyish look still, and you're looking scruffy. So get a wee tidy up. But what's your advice to the young keepers out there?
I think everything the guys have said is pretty spot on. Obviously, it's enjoying it, watching the ball, etc. The one thing I've found that's really probably helped me is I've come into a bit more of a routine with it, and I found what works for me in terms of drills and ticking the boxes, so that when I go to play, I know that I've done my work and I'm ready to go. So that's when they come through experience of working with different people and seeing other people train. So I think it's worth trying a lot of different things and then figure out what really works for you. Gets you in the best space possible to play.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. It's been a great insight. Been great to bring all of you together. All of you have had different things that have been added in there that I've probably given food for thought for a lot of keepers out there who will come across this. Wish you all the very best. Crossy, obviously, hopefully you'll be back on a cricket pitch very soon, and we'll all be rooting for you and hoping for further success for you on the field and for the rest of the Scotland team.
Thanks.
And yeah, just hopefully things are back to a bit normal soon, and we'll get to bump into each other, chaps, at a cricket ground or two.
That'll be a treat.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
Take care, chaps.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Chrissy.
Right,